1075 The Game Podcasting is sponsored by Modern Exterminating, a family-oriented company. Professional, honest, and dependable pest control solutions. We're your one-stop shop for all pests.
We were talking about how Arkansas this year is a 2 seed. How Tennessee, who's been great the last few years, is a 2 seed. How LSU and Vanderbilt didn't make it this year. Vandy for the first time, I think, in 19 seasons. LSU is the reigning champion, and they didn't make it. And, of course, South Carolina for the second consecutive year will not make it. And for the, 6th time since their last trip to Omaha, South Carolina is not going to be in the NCAA baseball tournament, which is not good. It's 6 of the last 14 years. That's not good. That's just that's terrible, actually. But this text says the expectation here at South Carolina is way too high, Jay. If Ray hadn't had a 2010 year, he was going to be pushed out. Karma got Eric Hyman, who threatened Ray, a coach that had been promised a new stadium for 5 years. There were certainly, in 2008 and then into 2009, there were certainly fans that began to chirp a little bit that maybe some things had passed Ray by. Now, I think that Ray had lost his top assistants, by then. Jim Toman had moved on, Monty Lee had moved on, but Ray went and got Chad Holbrook and Chad and Ray. But Chad led the way to get Jackie Bradley, Christian Walker, Matt Price, and I know Matt grew up just, half hour away, but Matt could have gone anywhere, and including pro, and others on that ball club. And obviously Michael Roth ultimately emerged later that season. I don't know that he was never expected to be what he became. Mm-hmm. But I think getting Chad made a huge difference to the 2010 team. But and that was from Mac. You're not wrong in the sense that I don't know if Ray was going to be. Look, I can't say for sure that Eric Hyman was going to fire Ray if they had, say, not made it to the Supers again in 2010. But I remember being on this radio station and hearing from people, because you had been to so many Supers and you'd made those 3 trips to Omaha. In the earlier part of the decade. And fans were starting to chirp because the expectation level got high. But to the point, and I think Mac must have sent that in when I said the expectation level. Look, I'm not going to let go of it. I'm not here to push back on Mac or anybody else. You can have your own opinions about what you think Carolina baseball should do every year. I'm just saying that Carolina baseball, through the decades, has set a standard where fans can go into a season expecting to host, certainly thinking that is not an unreasonable expectation, okay? You don't host every year. Yeah, I mean, Texas seems to host every year somehow, right? And it feels like Florida State almost always hosts. Beyond that, does anybody else? And I look, I'm kidding a little bit, but it's just it's hard to do it every year. But if you lower your the one thing, in my opinion, that South Carolina baseball can't afford to do right now is lower. At least significantly or over a longer period of time, their expectations. Because a lot of you think that Carolina should be in the Supers like 5 out of 10 years. And honestly, I don't know that I agree completely with that, but I don't find that problematic. I don't find that for this particular baseball program and what it spends and where it is and what it can do and what it has done. I don't find that, where'd you get that from?
Right.
Now, in today's world, the parity that has been created since Carolina last was at its absolute peak and the peak of the entire sport, 5 out of 10 might be too much. But making the playoffs every year, the tournament every year, is not at all unrealistic. And hosting the vast majority of the time, again, you're talking about being one of 16 schools.
Yeah.
Not one of 4.
Right.
That's not asking a lot, in my opinion.
This is a program that's been to Omaha 10 times, right?
11.
You've been 11 times to Omaha. You won 3 titles.
And you played for it 6 times.
Right. And you had 3 different coaches take you to Omaha, by the way.
Correct.
I think that's enough history and tradition to have expectations. That's just me. Again, we can all agree to disagree to what level or degree of expectation you want. But I think I don't know, maybe you can't do this, Jay, because, again, the world is different. I mean, everybody in the SEC now cares about baseball except Missouri. So that's a lot of teams. And so maybe you have expectations with the idea that the way this is now, again, LSU didn't make it after winning the stupid thing.
Right.
So maybe you have these big expectations with the understanding that it's tougher to get to those expectations now because the SEC takes baseball very serious. And you can see, again, I don't know if it's on I have so many computers.
Well, while you're looking at something, I'll say this too, Terry. In terms of Arkansas, maybe not as much for Tennessee because Tennessee, while they have had some very good recent history, their longer-term history is not, say, what Carolina's or Arkansas's is. But I promise you, the majority of the discussion around Arkansas baseball is why were we a 2 seed?
No.
Not, hey, we were a 2 seed.
No. Why?
Now, it's not like, oh, my God, Dave can't coach.
No, it's just what the heck happened
And you
this
look
year?
at Bama and Auburn this year. They're having great years. A&M, there's again, you got 5 national seeds and 7 hosts. But
yes.
Arkansas is going to look at themselves and go, we're supposed to be one of those.
Right. And look, right now, and I go back to this table of operational budgets for baseball programs. Now, ready? Tell me how many of these are SEC. Ready?
Okay.
Number 1's Tennessee.
Yep.
They spend more money than any public university. Number 2, LSU. Where are they, Jay?
Yep.
Number 3, Ole Miss.
Okay.
Number 4, Arkansas.
Wow.
Number 5, Texas A&M.
Goodness.
Number 6, Texas.
Yep.
Number 7, South Carolina. Out of those top 7, how many are SEC, Jay?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7.
Finally, we get to 2 teams who aren't in the SEC.
All right.
Clemson,
Okay.
number 8.
Yep.
Texas Tech is number 9.
Yeah.
Ready? Here we go again. Mississippi State's 10. Auburn's 11.
Yeah.
Let's see. Auburn's 11, 12, 13, 14. Alabama's 15. Oklahoma's 16. Georgia's 17.
I was already asking where Georgia is.
And
'Cause all Georgia
Kentucky's
did-
25.
All Georgia did this year was win the regular season, and not only did they win, they run ruled Arkansas to win the SEC
they
championship.
Curb stomped Arkansas, and then Kentucky's 25th. The program we think spends nothing on anything but basketball is 25th in baseball operational budget. My point is, how many of those are SEC?
That was at least 10, right?
10, if not more, maybe 11 or 12.
I think it was more. Yeah, I stopped counting.
So, it gets too high, your head starts to hurt. It's a different, they're all in is what I'm saying.
Sure.
And ready, it's not like they're making tons of money on it like football or
most of these
basketball.
schools lose money on baseball.
Right. So basically, we want to win in baseball, and we'll take a loss on baseball because we're making the money we make on football and men's basketball. It will balance it out, right?
Yeah.
They want to now win in baseball as bad as anything else, except Missouri.
Right.
So I think expectations should still be high, but with also the realistic expectation. Yes, you want to be really good every year, and like you said, you want to host all these things, but understand 14 other schools feel the same way you do.
And that's why I say you won't do it every year. Again,
Right.
including Arkansas, or again having an LSU or a Vanderbilt not even make the.
Think about how many straight years Vandy's been
19.
to the dance.
It was 19.
Run that through your head
Yeah.
real quick, and they miss it.
But the point I make when I say that you've got to keep a bare minimum expectation, and it should be to host, is that if you let go of that and go into a year, well, this year I don't expect to host. I expect to be a 2.
No.
I expect to be a 3. You can't do that at South Carolina.
I think South Carolina
Some
baseball,
schools might be able to do that and get away with it and feel okay with it. Kentucky might look at it and go,
remember what we used to be?
but you can't. You just, again, it's not to say that what are we doing here? But like I said, the conversation at Arkansas, certainly the conversations at Vandy and LSU are going to be a lot harder.
Oh, sure.
But at Arkansas, I promise you, the conversation is, why were we a 2?
Oh, sure.
What do we have to do in the offseason to make sure that next year we're hosting again?
We're back to
or that
where
we're
we
back
should
as a
be.
top 8.
And I think
And there's nothing wrong. That's a good conversation, and that's what I'm talking about.
expectation is a good thing, by
Yeah.
the way. Not a bad thing.
Yeah.
It's a good thing.